On PM Express tonight, the open letter to Akufo-Addo. There's an open letter from former Communications Minister Omane Boamah, Dr Omane Boamah, and that we are going to be probing tonight, and many other things that I'm sure you've been following in the press as far as politics is concerned. The NDC, the primaries going into 2020 as well, major political events that he's been commenting on as well as the development generally on the economic front as well. And as we get up to 2020, you know, the many citizens who are refusing to just be spectators, and Dr. Omane Boamah is one of them. He's taking up the challenge of writing open letters to the president. In his latest letter to the president, he raises a few issues. He talks about the PDS scandal, describes it as an indication of this government's very corrupt administration as one of those examples that he cites. He also talks about the renaming of the public universities. Touched on it very briefly in that piece. He says the president is in a hurry to appease his ancestors and placate his base. Is that really the case? And that's why the president is doing this. We'll try and interrogate that very briefly when he joins us on set. Plus, he talks about this, something that has affected many of you, the recent announcement in the mid-year budget review, talking about the hikes in the fuel prices. His position is that government has increased fuel prices more than 22 times since this particular president won power in 2017, and he believes that is causing untold hardship on people. He talks about the general living condition of Ghanaians. As a result of all that he has cited before, the Ghanaians are suffering excruciating hardship and need relief. And he says that instead of the relief, what they get is more pain by the policies that this government has introduced. But here is where he makes the major controversial point, comparing the oil revenues and the barrels of oil that existed under the John Mahama administration, what this current president and government has coming in. And he says, if you look at the quantum, you cannot compare what they had to what the MPP has in terms of the billions of dollars it's generating. There's pales in comparison, and he believes in spite of that there is nothing to show, nothing significant to show for all the revenues that this particular government is making. We'll try and understand why that analysis is important, and also interrogate a bit more what significant development really is for him. The free SHS, you know, has been a big controversial topic as well. It comes up very briefly, but it has been one of those running battles between John Dramani Mahama and this current government over what John Mahama's real policy is on free SHS. Dr. Omane Boamah in his open letter talks about how the monies that this government is making from oil could have taken care of free SHS for at least 3 years. I mean, if you look at, you know, the amount of money that the government says the free SHS it's going to cost. So the big question, we're going to hold him to street proof on some of these issues, but also get his thoughts on a lot of the running issues that you've been talking about already as we go into the 2020 elections. Remember, his own party has a major event this particular weekend, which is a parliamentary primary. He hasn't picked up any forms yet, maybe in the future. Is he holding any ambitions politically? You want to stay with us for that here on PMX. Oh, of course, I know, yes, I didn't forget all this controversy surrounding Professor Kwesi Botchwey. What are his thoughts also? Stay with us on PM Express. You are live on PM Express. My guest is seated, Dr. Omane Boamah. Doc, thank you very much for your time here on PM Express. I'm grateful to host you. And this is coming on the back of what's going to be a very busy week for the party. The primaries this Saturday. We'll talk about that very briefly because I know there's a lot of work. This is, I guess, is the final hurdle before the coast is clear for the election. But even before the coast is clear, after you clear the primaries, you have to name your running mate, right? That has come up this evening. Has been an issue. The John Mahama has to respond to it. Has been forced to respond to it on Twitter, on Facebook, saying that it's not true and it's fake news. Graphic reported it. When you heard the news, what was your reaction to it?
Oh, Evans, I mean, so predictable.
Yeah, it is.
Let me first of all say a very good evening to your cherished viewers, all Ghanaians, and to you also, and for the good job that you're doing. I mean, in particular, let me commend you for the performance that you put up at the Justice and Short Commission that probed the Ayawaso West War Gone. incident. I think that the graphiconline.com has inferiorized what we know them to be, and they should do something about it. I will really expect that an internal assessment will be done, so they will find out what even led to such a publication. Because as President Dr Omane Boamah has put out, it's obvious fake news. And like you all try to do when you read a story, you try to get in touch with the various sources to find out whether that was the case. One will wonder whether Graphic has forgotten about the check, recheck, and check again, checking your sources and all. I believe going forward, they would have to do more. Otherwise, it appears that it's just one of those things that state media would want to throw in just to divert attention from scandals like the PDS and the NAM1 men's gold issues that are really pushing people down the economic.
You're not suggesting that Graphics is being used as a pawn here?
In fact, that was the first suspicion that I had. And that is why I think going forward, as somebody who has had very close association with that institution, I think they should be very careful.
We all get it wrong sometimes.
I don't think this is a case of. I don't think
they have actually corrected the story now. It reads,
thank God, and
differently than it used to be.
It was very, very avoidable. They could have done it. My brother, if my Joy Online had done it, I would have criticized you.
I know.
So if Graphic has done it and I'm criticizing them, it's fair. They should just do an introspection and just know that they cannot continue. This is one too many.
Have they? You seem to suggest that this is like something that they've been doing over the past.
No, I'm saying that this is one too many.
Okay.
Yes, this is one too many, and they should just stop it. It smells like something that was deliberately orchestrated.
You smell a hand of government in there somewhere.
I mean, maybe you are more experienced in the media, and so you have said it, but I'm saying that it smells like something that was orchestrated just to shift attention from PDS, the NAM1 press conference, and all those things that are ongoing. But we will continue to discuss those issues because those issues border on you and I, how we are going to have sustainable electricity in our homes, and also those who invested in men's gold and some of those banks and microfinance institutions who are basically left uncared for, because in one breath, government says we are investing over 12 billion Ghana cedis to try and salvage the banking sector crisis. In another breath, you talk to depositors and they are not having their monies paid back to them. Is it just paper money? I think it's just paper money. And so we are saying that the real issues will be discussed. Thanks to social media and the investments that His Excellency President Dr Omane Boamah's administration made in broadband, social media is thriving, and so it doesn't take too long to reach thousands and millions of Ghanaians for you to state your side of the story. Those days when it was just a GBC and another state-owned media are far gone, and so government alone cannot drive what the story is.
And you've taken advantage of that. You've written an open letter. We'll come back to the campaign issues and the politics that the NDC is in, the MPP is in as well, all of you going into 2020. There's a lot of attention. I'll come back to that. But let's go to the bread and butter issues that you have taken advantage of. Broadband, as he said, to pen a letter to the president. You say at the top of that letter that as prices of goods and services are skyrocketing, Ghanaians are suffering excruciating hardship and need relief. Where's the evidence to support this?
Brother, your own market survey that you did, if you go online right now, it was evident that between 2017 and about somewhere last year or so, prices of goods and services had shot up. I don't want to use something that is coming from me. Your own is online. Put that aside. They cannot contest the fact that over the past 2.5 years, fuel prices have gone up by more than 22 good times. And let's not forget that they had promised to do better than what we were doing. And Ghanaians bought into that. So if you promise to do better and you come in, and this is the level of hardship that keeps on compounding, then you have to sit back and assess the issues that propelled you. And if they are listening carefully, not to people who are within the mainstream political space, but to voices that maybe you may not even have heard of in the past, or in the past were even speaking in favor of the MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo, they are all beginning to sing a different tune. And that is why I'm saying that, look, it is better for the president to listen to Ghanaians in general, but also he should listen to his own, some of the forces that aligned to propel him to victory in the election of 2016, so that he would take the necessary steps instead of the usual throwback at people in the NDC and people who would want to criticize them or point at things that are going wrong in the country. And sometimes it is the media that I even pity the more. This is the very media that almost did not question as much as they should do the kind of promises that they put
you think so?
out there. That's what I'm saying, as much as you should do. I'm wondering the number of times that you fact-checked Dr. Omane Boamah, if Dr. Boamah had been subjected to some of those fact-checks, whether he would have survived it.
Because the fact check was done on both sides, you know that.
No, but I'm saying that
you believe the weight was tilted heavily against you.
And that's expected, I mean, because
you were
in government. I mean, if Dr. Boamah had been fact-checked, I mean, I'm sure he would have suffered major blows at his...
But let's subject some of the facts that you put out there to some strict proof, as we indicated. On the bit about prices and goods and hardship, the record suggests that this government, at least in the 2.5 years they've been in power, have a far better record in terms of hardship and prices than your government did. I mean, the facts. Let me go to the facts. Because if you look at the 2019 media budget, which is a recent document of state that they put out, is a record of, is a document of record, and it was in Parliament. It puts inflation. You agree? It's a measure of the true measure of the prices, the rate to which it goes up and down on the market. We have single-digit inflation, dropped to single-digit inflation. We're talking about less than 10%, in fact, specifically 9.4%. If you compare that to your administration, I'm going to quote Setekwe's last media review budget. He says, quote, inflation pressures remain high. This is Setekwe, I'm quoting from the 2016 media review. Inflation pressures remain high in 2015, ending the year at 17.7%. This is a direct reflection of what was happening in the marketplace. The extent to which prices were going up and down and people were suffering. And he even admits it remains elevated in 2016 due to the continuing pass-through effects of the adjustment in utility prices that your government oversaw and imposed on us. So those are the bare facts. It shows that your admission in 2016 that people were suffering far more.
Evans, are you done?
Yes.
Inflation under NDC. Inflation at single digit ran for almost 36 good months. How long have we seen it as a single digit macroeconomic indicator? It's way below what we experience under the NDC. But it is more important to juxtapose the inflationary politics with what Dr. Boamah said. You remember his famous calculation of inflation with just about 6 baskets of goods. And I think I can recall the exact goods that he used. He used just about six of them, and even included cement at the time, which was not part of it. Okay, and he said that he was trying to increase the monthly allowance for the wife and said, oh, since inflation was single digit, so the increment was going to be based on the single digit. I recall the response that came from his wife, according to Dr. Boamah himself. The point I'm making is that the inflationary figures were on a downward trend before the NDC left office.
Not true.
That is true.
That's not true. I mean, 17.7%.
No.
2016 media budget.
No. You are talking about 2016 media budget. Check the end year, December 2016. It was far below 17.
Yeah, but then not single digit. Not a single digit.
Yeah, but the trend was downward.
Yeah,
and
but not a single digit.
And I'm also saying that in terms of single digit inflation, we ran it for about 36 good months.
Yeah.
They have not done anywhere.
I thought we were comparing current to your last when you were exiting.
Listen, they've not done anywhere near that. But the most important thing is today, you were buying fuel price, a gallon at let's say 14, 16 Ghana cedis per gallon, 4.5 liters. As we speak now, you are buying it at 23, 24, 25 Ghana cedis. Is that single digit increase? Let's take that fuel price. You are buying it at 14, 16 Ghana cedis under NDC. Today it is 22, 23, 25 Ghana cedis per 4.5 liters. That is a gallon.
No.
That cannot be single digit.
But you know full well, the fuel prices are not locally determined entirely.
I'm saying that
there are foreign pressures that comes about
that is not single digit inflation. Yes, there are foreign components, but government also loads it heavily with taxes.
True.
Good. What have they even done to the ESLA?
They have increased it.
So what do you even expect? And what did they say about the ESLA? So when it comes to hardship, they keep on compounding it. Even as people are crying, that you would have expected them to have paused and said that, look, let us even have a second look at the ESLA, because ESLA was going to be a sunset kind of intervention. It was not going to be run forever. But as we are looking at the NPP right now, if God forbid, and they cross 2020, it appears ESLA is going to be a permanent feature. And that is why we are saying that if you are to take the items one after the other, the price of cement, ball of kenkey, even the size has reduced. Price has also gone up. Price of fuel, transportation cost, and all. There is no way that you can say that President Akufo-Addo has fulfilled his promise.
You didn't expect
of relieving Ghanaians.
But in their first year, they reduced a lot of taxes. They took off more than 15 taxes that were reduced. Nuisance taxes that you imposed.
When you count them quantitatively, then you clap. And it is sad that you would want to remind the people of Abuso and several other places, Swami Magazine, the way that this government swindled them with that Asempa budget of 2017. Subsequently, when JoyNews went to Abuso when they were going to read another budget, I think that was the 2018 one. What did you hear them say? They wouldn't have anything to do with it because clearly they had come to the conclusion that the government had swindled them. The point I'm making is that, Evans, as we speak now, if you are to assess your situation, and compare it with that of 2016 when the NDC was leaving office, there is excruciating hardship, and the evidence supports that. Inflation has not passed through yet. Even though Dr. Boamah was at the Bank of Ghana, together with his own colleagues, the kind of research that they did, they were expecting pass-through effects, particularly on things like exchange rate and all,
and
within a matter of 6 months.
Significantly.
What have we seen, even when it comes to the exchange rate? They promised,
which is stabilized.
Please stabilize where? Stabilize above 5.
Yes.
Okay, is that what they promised? Stabilize above 5?
I mean, for the business person.
Can you imagine if under NDC we saw the cedi exchanging for $1 at 5.4, 5.5.
But that wasn't the concern of the NDC.
No.
The concern of the NDC was that the rate at which the inflation rate was galloping was unpredictable for businesses to work with.
At this stage,
now it's stable.
At this stage,
at least we know it's 1.5.
At this stage, we're talking about exchange rate,
yes.
not the inflation rate.
No, inflation.
Okay.
No, of course.
Yes.
It's exchange rate.
But what I'm saying is
the rate at which the CD has been depreciating has reduced.
It is both.
And has stabilized.
It is both. It is both. Are you saying that you would prefer to exchange at 5.2, 5.3, 5.4 as compared to 4.2? Is that what you
as a business person, they'll say.
Is that what you're telling me?
No, as the business person, business person will say that I prefer if it's stable.
So the business
even
person,
if it's 5.2,
so the business
I want to work with it if it's
are
stable.
You saying, Mr. Kwesi-Twum, will prefer an exchange rate?
I haven't said. I'm saying what a business person will tell you.
Mr. Kwesi-Twum is a businessman.
Yeah.
Will prefer exchange rate at 6.5, 7.2, just because it is stable. That is an erroneous impression.
But you didn't have a stable.
It is not just about the stability. And even when you talk about the stability was achieved over a very long period, post the IMF intervention and several other homegrown interventions that were put in place. The fact of the matter is that exchange rate has moved up from 4.2 all the way to above 5 Ghana cedis, unprecedented in the history of our country. So if you talk about exchange rate, terrible. If you talk about fuel prices, which translates into transportation, cost of several things, civil servants who are going to work in and out, to and fro, students, pupils, nurses, teachers, and all. This is the reality that we are dealing with as a country.
Every government has increased fuel price in the past.
And I'm saying that.
So why are we playing politics with it?
In a matter of 2.5 years, this government has done it for more than 22 times.
No, but that's not accurate.
They have
that's not accurate.
They have increased.
You know fuel prices are deregulated. Fuel prices at the pumps have been deregulated.
Did President Akufo-Addo know this? Did he know this?
So
when they were promising that they were going
did
to
Akufo-Addo promise that they were going to reduce fuel prices?
That they were going to do away with ESLA. The impact of doing away with ESLA would have been a significant drop of fuel prices.
But fundamentally,
that cannot be contested. Fundamentally,
you cannot say that this government had increased fuel prices. But they haven't.
Fundamentally, if they had scrapped ESLA, okay, fuel prices would have dropped. That would have been a consequence, a natural consequence. What have they done now?
But why should they drop? Why should they drop ESLA?
But they promised it. Unless they are not to be believed.
Are you sure you have evidence where somebody said we're going to scrap ESLA? I've heard NDC folks say this, but I haven't found the actual words yet.
You can go in there and dig.
Where?
I mean,
what's in the manifesto?
Oh, my brother, a lot of things.
No, but that's the thing.
Said. One of the things,
this is a show of facts and figures.
Let me share something with you. I have a video here, President Akufo-Addo, talking about building 350 community day schools in 18 months of coming into office. The video is right here.
Yeah.
I can play it live.
True.
Okay.
That's what I'm asking for. But
no. Have you seen that video? Have you seen that video?
I haven't seen that video, but I've seen others.
But you will not find it in the MPP's manifesto.
True. So my question is a very simple one.
One district, one factory.
Yes.
Did you ever hear them, President Akufo-Addo, saying that he was going to let the private sector lead one district, one factory?
No.
No.
But in implementation,
they
that's what they're seeking to do.
presented it as a government-led thing. Government was going to do.
But you're backing. You're making my question even stronger.
The point I'm making is that if you are going to rely on the MPP's manifesto, and just ignore the things that they said.
I'm not. I'm saying what I'm asking. You said you had a video of them saying they're going to build 300 plus SHS. And I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. But once you have the video, that's the evidence I'm asking for. So when I've heard NDC folks say that the president said NDP said they're going to scrap ESLA, do you have a video? Do you have evidence to show that was said?
The evidence can be found, and he said it.
But no NDC person have produced yet.
Don't worry.
Okay.
We will offer that to you. Will you also contest the fact that he promised to pay DKM victims?
Yeah, I mean, you can assume that something was said like that.
No,
But because it's a show of facts.
No, I'm saying.
But that's not what I'm asking tonight.
I'm saying that. Are you contesting?
I'm not contesting that.
Are you contesting
I'm not asking that question about that.
So there are so many things. There are so many things.
But you're making a fundamental point about ESLA, and I'm just asking you because I've heard this consistently said. By NDC folks that MPP promised to scrap ESLA.
Yes.
But none of them have produced yet.
Don't worry.
The real evidence.
If you really want it, and if you really want to research into this, you can find it. I can do that. But
here's a substantive point about that. ESLA was introduced to fix the challenges in the energy sector. This government's argument is that, look at the last 2.5 years, we haven't had doomsday.
You haven't had doomsday?
That is the government's point.
I was just returning from Central Region on Saturday.
Because we're making prudent use of ESLA and others.
After going to campaign for Honorable Felix Kwachu, okay, I was on my way. And all the way, Weja, and all those places.
That's not doomsday.
Please.
He said you had doomcra.
My brother, you see,
that could be a technical fault.
And that is a dishonesty. And if you want to know what is happening, listen to the independent power producers.
They've been paid. They say they've been paid.
I'm saying if you want to know what is happening.
They threatened to shut down. They haven't shut down.
Listen. So, the fact that they haven't shut down.
Because they've been settled.
Wait, doesn't mean that they have been paid. And that is where.
No, but they haven't settled. That's why they haven't shut down. They gave a 10-day ultimatum.
That is where even the PDS scandal is even more dangerous.
Why?
That an issue that President Mahama rightly diagnosed and felt that ECG needed support.
Do you think Jomama diagnosed PDS?
No.
Or it was through his...
The energy sector problems.
Okay.
He promised to fix it. He fixed the generation bit, which Dr. Boamah even said, do not praise President Mahama for fixing Doomsday. That was a clear indication that he fixed it. The next was how to deal with the challenges within the distribution side. And that was ECG. There are varied views in terms of how it should go. Some believed it should even stay with ECG itself once government is ready to ring fence the indebtedness of ECG and all that. And I see a lot of merit in that. But the decision of government at the time was that, look, the US would want to provide financial support. And US exports capitalism and also exports democracy, largely. So they would want to see private hands in it. That was the line that was taken. This private hand that was coming in must come with some financial power and also technical power. As we speak now, Evans, you do very well with investigations. Can you tell us how much the 51% Ghanaian ownership that is made up of PDS deposited prior to taking over the distribution?
I think the contract has answers to that. The contract gave them a period where they can operate without putting any money in.
Such a sweetheart deal, if it is not born out of nepotism.
How do you know that? What's the evidence?
I'm saying that it is such a sweetheart deal.
Where is the president's relative in that?
Because ECG, okay. Then what was the point in bringing in private hands that would be given the opportunity? Okay, you have some time to bring in the. Then let's just give it to ECG, and that is why this government's approach emphasizes the belief that some of us even have that ECG should, because if it's a matter of no capital injection from the 51% Ghanaian shareholders of this consortium, then for Christ's sake, why did we even go on this particular track? And so I think that they have not served ECG any better than if they had allowed ECG to operate it. That is one. Two, as a result of that, okay, you and I, the bills that we pay, utility tariffs, when that goes, instead of those monies going to service, Gridco, IPPs, Ghana gas and all, it has to stall for some time within the domain of PDS. Is that what we opted for? And that is how come the IPPs were complaining. Talk to them behind the scenes.
True, that's why they're complaining, because money is not coming. But eventually we settle. But here's a fundamental point. This deal talk about PDS.
And that is how come Dumso keeps on visiting us and revisiting.
Where is the Dumso?
And even when
where is the Dumso?
And even when your brother, Dazi, was asking for just timetable at the time that Dumso got to a crescendo.
Where is the Dumso?
That's about 2 months ago when it got to a crescendo.
We had 3 years of blackouts under your administration.
Yes,
like that, we haven't had anywhere near this. How can you come this Dumso?
Because of generational gap. You see, when you have a generational gap, that one, you can only fix it if you bring in...
The NDC had 8 years to do that problem, to fix that problem.
No, Dumso did not start in the first 3 years of the NDC administration. Okay?
No, he didn't.
The point I'm making is that you need time to build this. Can you imagine if this government had not inherited the kind of generational capacity that we had?
Well, they said what you inherited is excess capacity that we are paying for that we don't need,
Jesus
that you left
Christ,
them.
As far back as the 1950s, Osadifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when he constructed the Akosombo Dam, there was excess capacity. In fact, when we talk about the integrated aluminium industry flourishing, which President Akufo-Addo has also associated himself with it, we are talking about the need for power, high temperatures to smelt alumina and ore so that we can be able to use them, export some to the airline industries and all those companies.
But Dr. Nkrumah didn't impose on us a take-or-pay.
No.
A take-or-pay contract.
No. The point also must be emphasized that if the one district, one factory that they are touting, if they had followed through as they promised, where were they going to have power to power those ones? Or are you going to wait the day that the factories come alive, then you are now going to look for a power generation plant to come and generate power? Power is not like pure water that you go and buy on the shelf.
No problem.
You bring it to the table, you just open it and you drink.
If that was your intention, why didn't you have a contract that says once we use that power, then we pay for it? But that's not the contract you left to this government.
Check the industry practice. Check the industry practice. And also check the time that Ghana was going in for these plants. And that is why I'm saying that now that there is stable power, government is even in a better position to even negotiate better. But what did we see? Another level of incompetence. Check the Ameri deal, which went to Parliament, which eventually culminated in the sacrifice of Boakye Jaako, because I don't believe... But
Ameri first cost the minister under John Mahama.
I'm saying that he was in it alone.
Boakye Jaako is not the only minister who was falling under Ameri's power crisis.
Cost a minister under John Mahama.
Well, you know, your own Dr. Omane
No,
who promised to fix the Dumso. If he didn't fix the Dumso, he will go. He left.
You are turning it upside down. Dr. Omane, and I salute him, as a matter of principle, said he was going to fix it by the end of 2015. And check. By the end of January 2016, it had been fixed. He needed just 4 weeks. Why did he leave? But as a matter of principle, he resigned. And I salute him again. That is the kind of leadership that we need.
John Mahama didn't sack him?
That you will be respected if you stick to your words and you honor them. And that is how come we saw the leadership that Ghanaians witnessed under President John Dramani Mahama. That is not to say that everything was perfect. We will never say that. But I believe that, Evans, you as a media person, today, the kind of intimidation, the intolerance, the skullduggery that has existed between the President Akufo-Addo administration and the media you will on any day conclude that boot for boot, toe for toe, President Mahama is far better than President Akufo-Addo.
We'll come to the media.
Under President Mahama,
Sure.
under President Mahama, no journalist.
We'll come to the media.
Had cause to go.
We'll come to that substantively. I'll come to that shortly. But back on the PDS matter, this is a deal signed, approved by Parliament. It's done. 20 years. Well, some say you're a party, you're a government in waiting, and that this could happen in 2020, 2021.
No.
What will you do with it?
I think
or what's your own expectation of how it should be dealt with?
I think that President Akufo-Addo should not wait till even the end of this year. Look, it is very, very clear that it was a sweetheart deal that they packaged. And you see, if you check how they went about it, okay, I have respect for Mr. Gajepu. But I think, and I also...
The butcher of ECG?
Yeah, and I also have respect for Mr. Ison Benjamin. But to be frank with you...
He's made that.
Yeah, they have disappointed Ghanaians. And you see...
So what do you expect to happen?
And you see, this is what lend credence to the fact that there is more than meets the eye. It's a sweetheart deal born out of nepotism.
Where's the nepotism in there? That's the second time you used it. You need to give me proof of that.
And if I were them, I think that at this stage, with the pedigree that they have had, this kind of dirty dealing that is out there, people talking about it and all, it is not good for their image. They may want to consider the option that Dr. Kabra-Donkor or people, public officers in Japan and elsewhere would have done. Under such circumstances, they will just pack bag and baggage and salute you, say, thanks for giving me the opportunity to serve my country.
So you expect them to resign?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, but having said that, that is not going to happen, or hasn't happened yet. The deal remains. It's 20 years. You might be in power during that period. What do you expect to happen if that doesn't happen under this one?
Look, if they keep this deal beyond this year, okay, I'll be very, very, very disappointed. Look, ask yourself one question. How come the president, okay, before he traveled to Angola, was talking about a suspension and the fact that ECG was going to handle, and then at the same time, his appointees in Ghana had done the opposite, where PDS was in full position managing it. On top of that, the energy minister has been out there to impugn fraud. Fraud vitiates a contract.
It hasn't been proven.
My brother, if the crocodile comes from the seabed or the riverbed, properly speaking, to inform you that maybe something is happening there, there's fire there, who are you? This is the energy minister. What he sees, you and I will never see that. He even decides to package what must go to cabinet. So there will still be a symmetry of information depending on how he wants to write his memos and all that. So if he impugns fraud, you and I, why must we be challenging it? Ideally, a proper investigation.
Which is happening.
But who?
There's a proper investigation
But
happening.
who should be investigating it? Under President Akufo-Addo.
There are several agencies.
Under President Akufo-Addo, what we have seen is clearing. And so what faith should you and I have in this?
I want us to return to something you said in your letter to the president. You said...
I was coming to the media because
I'll come to the media. I'll return substantively to the media. It's a very important plank we'll talk about. But let us exhaust something
in your... You don't have much time. So
no, we do. I'll create a time for you. Don't worry about that. I'm
going
to talk about...
I want you to be selfish for once.
I will be.
So that I can address...
I will be.
I can address the sustainability of your profession and the need for Ghanaians to be informed.
I assure you we'll talk about that. But a very final point on your letter to the president. You said, and this is I raised it in my intro, and you talk about the spending that this government is failing to put in to significantly develop the country. You said, but need one spend time only on the 3.6 billion balance, which you're talking about all the monies that this government is making from the oil reserve that they have. He said, no, this is because you are yet to show any significant development with over 80 billion cedis which you have borrowed. And you say that is 40% of Ghana's debt since independence. My question to you is, when you say significant development, they haven't shown any significant development. How do you define significant development? What is it that you want to see that they haven't done? They've invested in free SHS. Their projects are going to start on Sino Hydro. There are big ticket items that they put their money into. Free SHS is taking $1 billion a year. I mean, what is significant development? What do you want to see?
My brother, let me deal with the free SHS expenditure. And I want viewers to listen to me carefully. The NDC is not opposed to free SHS. 1. 2, as a former NUCS president who believes in the constitutional provision that education is a right, not a privilege, I will not sit here and also speak against free SHS. And as somebody who worked in a government that commenced progressively free SHS, there was no way I would speak against it.
In fact, Dr. Omane has been said to be wanting to scrap it if it comes to power.
That in itself is false and is a propaganda. And I wonder if the president listens when President Mahama speaks. President Mahama issued a statement on 23rd of April this year and is very, very emphatic about that. There's no way he's going to scrap it. He will make it even better. Okay? And that's why I'm saying I wonder if the president listens. It was another diversion. PDS is too heavy for them. Nepotism, chop in it. So he just had to throw in free SHS. But let me deal with expenditures around our free SHS. 2017, 2018, and 2019, okay, the total expenditure is estimated at 3.2 billion Ghana cedis. That is why I say that the oil revenue, which they are reaping alone, 2017 and 2018, I'm not adding 2019. For free SHS, I'm saying that 2017, 2018, and 2019 comes to 3.2 billion. For oil revenue alone, I'm using just 2 years. 2019 should be bonus for them. That is giving them 6.8 billion. So if they subtract 3.2 billion free SHS for 2017, 2018, and 2019, 3 years, from the oil revenue of 2017 and 2018, they will still be left with a balance. Let me use the street word, change, in Sisa, of 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Okay? And this is as a result of also the hard work that President Mahama put in developing more oil wells. And you know how they even tried to sabotage the ENI project and all. And so
Who tried to sabotage the ENI project?
The NPP. Oh,
how?
Have you forgotten when the Italian Prime Minister
it was a parliamentary. It was what parliamentarians do all the time.
But it was the MPP minority that did it. Okay?
But they have questions.
So it is the MPP. Assuming it had not worked, where would they have gotten the money from? So when they give the excuses that, oh, it is free SHS that is consuming the money, I'm saying that President Mahama left them enough legacies to pay for free SHS 3.2 billion with 3.6 billion left. That 3.6 billion, if they were a serious government that was committed to their promises, okay, they could have used that money to build 450 community-day senior high schools in fulfillment of the president's own promise of building 350 community-day senior high schools in 18 months. That would have avoided the double track, the traffic light, red, green, gold system, which has visited untold hardships on parents. My brother, a lot of people, and I'm sure some of them come to you, that support them to be able to pay for the extra classes of their children. But that's
always happened. That hasn't changed.
Who are at home and all. To the point I'm making is that enough money through the oil wells that President Mahama developed are available to pay for that, there will still be even excess. That same 3.6 billion could also have constructed about 14,400 of the dams that they touted so much in when they were in opposition. Unfortunately, as a result of mismanagement, check how much budgetary allocations go to the presidency. Take the cocoa sector. For 3 cocoa seasons, they never increased producer price of cocoa for cocoa farmers. Yet, you take 2018, 2019, 2017, 2018 season, and headquarters allocations increased by 63.9%. Yet the farmers whose sweat, toil, and blood produce the cocoa beans, you don't increase it for them. Beyond that has to do with their premium. Because of the fermentation process that our cocoa go through and how they turn the beans and all, Ghana's cocoa is well admired out there. So there's a premium to it. That premium used to manifest as bonus. That one too, this government will not pay. Fertilizer for cocoa farmers. Fertilizer that President Mahama had imported, and I'm quoting one of the farmers in the Siri area who spoke when President Mahama visited the Western North region recently. He says that fertilizers that they had written strictly not for sale, they just cleaned the knot and became strictly for sale.
Who are the people who do that?
This government who.
But how can you say that?
Who else? It's being sold.
I mean, smuggling of fertilizers have existed under your watch. A lot of the fertilizers you gave, gave subsidized.
I'm not talking about small. I'm talking about sale. I'm saying that President Mahama was not selling fertilizer to cocoa farmers.
Of course.
This government is selling fertilizer to cocoa farmers.
No, I mean, but that's a matter of policy.
But is it to increase their hardship or to alleviate their hardship? What did this government in opposition promise Ghanaians?
What?
Was it to increase their hardship? You, in one breath, you are not increasing the bag of cocoa, the price that you pay for it. In another breath, you are not paying bonuses. Yet, you are asking them to pay for the fertilizer that hitherto they used to have for free.
I wanted to.
Did we go or did we come?
I wanted to hold
and when journalists talk about this,
we're gonna take a break.
Come after them.
We're gonna take a break.
When we return, intimidation.
When we return,
media houses.
When we return, we'll talk about the media, and we'll do a comparison of records, and also see his view on the issues surrounding the media, and because he was once a communications minister, I remember. Stay with us here on PM Express. So live on PM Express, my guest is still Dr. Omane Boamah. Mr. Omane Boamah, you were communications minister once. The media was an area you were quite central about. What's your assessment of, you have clearly throughout this conversation, you've had issues with the way you think this media has been handled.
Yeah. I mean, I think that Ghana is being branded out there as an intolerant country, a country that is allergic to criticism. And government is the one who is branding Ghana in this manner. I was not surprised at all when the Press Freedom Index captured us in bad light. But let's put that aside, because sometimes indices themselves may not reveal the true picture, and statistics also may not even reveal the true picture. So let's deal with the true picture. My brother, who would have thought that in our fourth republic, we were going to have journalists arrested from their media outfits, masked, sent to government institutions of detention, tortured.
Allegedly.
I mean, I believe that. I believe that.
I mean, for me, it's allegedly. It's because it's so
yes,
to be
but
proven.
I believe that. Tortured, including electrocution. And assuming you don't believe that because you and I were not there, who would have thought that Manasseh Azure Awuni, a darling boy of the MPP at the time, they hailed his work. They hailed his work. And let me share something with you. The day Manasseh aired his documentary on the Burkinabe President Mahama issue.
The Ford matter.
Yeah. President Mahama's mom had died the night before. And the story was aired the following morning. We were tolerant enough. I came to the studio the following Saturday after the initial statement that we issued and all to argue our case out strongly. We had serious issues with it. But we felt that, well, that is democracy. Can you imagine if a similar thing was done to President Akufo-Addo? Because I'm asking you, and permit me to ask you a question. You've asked all the questions. My brother, what at all did Manasseh do against President Akufo-Addo in the I Group documentary that made them drag multimedia to the National Media Commission?
And is your right, you know that?
No, tell me. I'm saying that in the case of President John Dramani Mahama, it was direct. When the facts showed that the man did not even know about when the gift was given, and when it came to his attention, he ordered that it be put in the government pool of vehicles. Yet it was a direct attack on him 6 months to an election. What at all in the I Group documentary did Manasseh do against President Akufo-Addo directly? He's right. That is why I say they are intolerant. And so when Ghanaians say that, oh, all politicians are the same, there's no difference, I say there's a difference. Media tolerance alone demonstrates a clear difference between President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo.
Well, under your government,
Let me.
under your government,
Yeah.
there were issues as well that you need to address, because Standaway,
Yeah.
who was at the presidency, assaulted a journalist, 155 journalists, and you were the communications minister then, petitioned the president to do something about it. Nothing was done. That was a slap in the face of journalism.
It was very, very regrettable, and I will not sit here and defend it.
You still haven't even apologized to the
But
journalists who were assaulted publicly.
You have no understanding of what you are talking about.
Did you apologize publicly to the journalists?
If you know the journalist, if you also know Major Donchebe, find out what was done. So when I hear
What was done to Standaway though?
So when I hear nothing was done,
Nothing was done to Standaway. He kept his job.
So
there was no punishment.
So I'm just saying that you were shifting to, in terms of the journalist, nothing. I'm saying that if you know Major Donchebe, if you also know the journalist, you may find out from him what was done. But
yeah, but nothing was happening to the man.
yeah, I'm saying that
Because imagine that somebody at the Jubilee House, a senior Standaway, and today assaulted a journalist.
I'm saying
What you would have recalled, you would have called for the person's head.
I'm saying
Standaway wasn't touched.
I'm saying regrettable. Will you compare that any day to electrocution, torture? Will you compare that any day to the fact that Manasseh had to go on exile? And but for God, who opened Professor Kwame Kalkari's mouth, Ghanaians may never have known this. Okay? Anas Aremeyaw Anas.
That is an investigation, by the way.
I'm coming. Anas Aremeyaw Anas. Look at how this gentleman has been pelted by the MPP.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, the unfortunate incident which led to the demise of Ahmed Hussein Suale. My brother, I'm saying that this government has been a major disappointment. But you see, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all.
Just to wrap up on this.
I'm not surprised at all. If you really want to appreciate the intolerance level of the president, check what he did to his own party people, Paula Foko, Kabrin Jepo.
Well, all of that went to court, and all of these people lost in court. But I'm grateful that you joined me. And I know you.
Grateful
and I know you're going to be part of the lot of the NDC work going forward, and so all the best in that endeavor.
And all the best too.
Omane Boamah, future presidential candidate? No. My name is Evans. Enjoy the rest of your evening.